Life soon began to beat like a drum with its own rhythm. Morning was calm and pleasant, with sweet fragrances dancing around cool air. It was a time of play and restless energy with the coming of midday. By afternoon the sun was scorching. We would nap together by the shade of the palms, lounging about and gazing at what Picky called a mirage. By evening temperatures would lower to a calm and comfortable haze. But darkness would soon follow, bringing with it the most frightening feelings and dreadful dreams. I still remember hearing those little ones screaming during the night, and what could only be the most horrible of terrors. It was the beastie. Yes, it was that monster hunting us, shrouded in darkness. For the most part, we were divided between the little ones and the older ones. Each group kept pretty much to themselves. Then there was that time. I was sitting among the jungle fronds when I noticed Robert all by himself. I was curious as to what he was up to. He had the strangest look in his eyes, this kind of fire. This mild curiosity that seemed so wrong. That morning, I observed as Robert and Maurice had stomped one of the little sandcastles. But what in the world was he doing? I saw him pick up stones lining the beach and gazed in horror as he threw them with precision, one by one. I saw as one of the rocks barely missed a little boy who gazed around, confused at what was happening. I felt the need to cool my burning suspicions and the strange evil that seemed to be possessing those on the island. But my fears were only worsened when I observed Jack camouflaging his face with clay and charcoal. I watched him fade off into the jungle to hunt with his band of hunters. But then there was this huge commotion. I heard Ralph talking about a ship, and then I saw it, a shell gliding along the horizon. My spirits were high until I looked where Jack was standing, emptily. The signal fire was out. No smoke, no rescue. Ralph was red in the face. He was fuming. Soon the hunters returned, chanting, the strangest, sickest, most hypnotic thing I've heard. Between them they carried a dead pig on a stake. Ralph let them have it. They were so enthralled with bloodlust, it was like they never even heard him. I heard Piggy take Ralph's side, and then, bam, it happened so fast. A quick slap from Jack, and Piggy was left with only one lens on his glasses. Jack glared at Ralph with pure resentment. From then on, things would never be the same between them. That night the pig was roasted. There was laughter and warmth and chanting. The savagery of the hunt was being reenacted before my very eyes. It was then that Ralph called a meeting. Ralph was still raging about the signal fire. The boys were getting tired of him and his constant nagging. He claimed they had not done anything required of them. They refused to work at building shelters, they did not gather drinking water, they neglected the signal fire, and they did not even use the designated toilet area. The others wouldn't listen. We also talked about the beast, sending a ripple of fear through everyone. Jack said something to Piggy and was gone, followed by his hunters chanting. Ralph looked like he was going to quit, to step aside, but Piggy said something that seemed to reassure him. That night I was reawakened by the signal for a meeting. We met up and I heard the most horribly dreadful news. It turned out that the beast was real. Real, I tell you. Sam and Eric, they saw it with their own eyes. What were we going to do? That morning the boys launched an expedition. We would find this beast and hunt it down. We soon reached a part of the island that none of us had ever ventured before, a thin walkway that led to a hill dotted with small caves. The boys were terrified to go across the walkway, so Ralph took charge and investigated alone. Jack and the others then followed. We reached the top of the hill, finding nothing, and with Ralph's constant nagging, we grudgingly headed off toward the mountain to continue our search. We stopped to eat along the way. Ralph looked nervous. Simon talked and smiled at Ralph, who smiled warmly back. We found a pig trail then. We decided to follow it rather than continue our search. A struggle with a wild boar quickly ensued. The boys were wild up. Ralph was excited. He had flung his spear, injuring the boar, while Jack bragged that the boar had grazed him with his tusks. Excited, they reenacted the chase among themselves, with Robert playing the boar. They nearly killed him. That's how excited, how insane, how full of bloodlust it became. Remembering who Robert was, they stopped in time. Jack suggested they use a little one next time. Everyone laughed. Simon volunteered to return to tell Piggy, who we left behind the beach with some of the little ones, that the group would not return until late. That night the group decided to return, finding nothing. Jack would not stop. He challenged Ralph to accept it. Jack climbed. He ran back, breathless, claiming he had seen the beast. Ralph disbelievingly went ahead to check and came back in shock. Horrified, we all ran back to warn the others. The next, we gathered for a meeting along the beach. Suddenly, Jack grabbed the conch. Out loud he challenged Ralph, calling him a coward. He asked for a show of hands to remove Ralph's teeth. No one responded, only stared. Enraged, Jack fled, saying that he is leaving. Anyone who wished to hunt and join him would be welcome to join him. Together the boys set to work a new signal fire on the beach. That night many of us slipped away to join Jack. I snuck away just to see what they were up to. Along another stretch of sand, Jack declared himself chief. Upon spotting a sow, they killed her, Robert boasting that he had stuck the spear right up her. They cut off her head, placing it on a stake as an offering to the beast. They invaded Ralph's camp, Jack offering a feast, welcoming Ralph's tribe to join him. I saw Simon slip away. Sitting alone, he spotted the sow's head. He sat in front of it, mesmerized, hypnotized. He began to softly talk to it. I turned away in disgust.